We're here with Tim Rowland. Tim is the current Lackawanna County Coroner. Tim, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And Tim was actually appointed into the position that he holds now by the state upon the retirement of his predecessor. So he hasn't actually been elected to the position yet, and that's why he's here with us talking today about his campaign for this particular race. As I've said before, normally we would do a brief bio of the candidates, but we're pointing everyone to our website now, lwvlackawanna.org, and our new online voter guide through vote411.org for additional bio information on the candidates, as well as a few extra questions. So, Tim, we'll go right into the questions now. Can you describe for everyone, what are the duties of this office?
Well, essentially the duties of the coroner are to investigate all suspicious or unexpected deaths that occur in the county.
Okay. And what qualifies you to run for this office? And, you know, we're looking for any experience that you have that brings to it. What separates you from your opponent?
Well, first off, I had been doing the job for 8 years prior to my appointment as a deputy coroner within that department under Joe Brennan, who, as we all know, retired in January of last year. On top of that, I have 35 years of critical care medical experience as a paramedic. I was one of the original paramedics that started at CMC back in 1977. So I think with my, with my medical background and my actual coroner experience, and then all the classes and seminars and certifications I've acquired since 2003, I'm absolutely the most qualified to do this job now.
Okay. What improvements do you believe are needed in your office now, and what is your approach or plan to address them in the coming years?
Well, we've actually started. We've actually started to improve the way we conduct our operations in the coroner office. First off, our entire Joe Brennan had an excellent record-keeping system that he started back when he took over from Bill Sweeney, who left in a scandal back in, I think it was back in the 80s. But Joe moved the office out of a funeral home, put it into a county building, and then established a record-keeping system. All the files were kept in the office, reports, everything were filed together, and made substantial improvements in that. We've taken that a step farther. Our entire reporting system is now stored online with redundant backups, and everything is available at the the computer screen now, where we can pull up everything that we've been doing in that. We've also in the coroner's office, we have a substantial elderly population in our area. We've also seen a increase in the amount of deaths that we're receiving that are not necessarily coroner cases that require, a forensic investigation, but we have it increases all the time. We have people who pass away at home and then are indigent or have no family members that we end up actually picking up the responsibility to store them, attempt to find loved ones, and then ultimately end up either burying them, cremating them, or whatever. Costs a lot of money.
Okay. In September, the Senate Local Government Committee advanced from committee a law that would require the release of a decedent's name, cause, and manner of death, but only within 30 days of the end of the year in which the death occurred. Do you support public disclosure of these records, and in what time frame from the time of death, and what's your rationale for that?
Well, I think the controversy there was under the open records law, whether or not a media outlet would be able to obtain records, including autopsy photos, at any given time during a period after somebody died. We believe, the Coroners Association believes, that the records, especially autopsy reports, are a sensitive matter and may not be released to the public. I mean, I think in our region, with the media that we deal with, they are certainly discretionary and ethical and all that. But then we have media outlets in the nation that are not, such, magazines that would probably take records and openly publicize them. I know, the families that I deal with would be devastated if those records were given to the public and then disclosed in a media source, through a media source.
Okay.
So I guess my answer is I support, obviously, the need for the public to know, and I think in my administration I certainly have been forthcoming with the media, really timely, with timely releases of information. Obviously, cases that are under investigation can't be released, but I think I've been very cooperative with the media on that.
Okay. There had been controversy as well regarding space for a morgue in Dunmore, and the question that I have for you is, what impact or potential impact does a morgue have on a neighborhood?
Well, first, if we could maybe address the reason why we, right now our morgue operations are at one of the hospitals in Scranton. We've been paying a fee per case at that hospital ever since they've been there, and those fees, have been increasing gradually. With the increase of calls that we're getting and the increase of the need to go out and pick deceased citizens up and then store them, find family, we were paying more and more money every year. By moving the operation into a facility where, in this case, we've guaranteed ourselves a 20-year payment schedule that we know what the payments are going to be 20 years down the road, that allows us to contain our costs. And we will be saving a substantial amount of money by doing that. As far as the impact on the neighborhood where the new, I like to call it, it's a forensic operations center. I'm kind of moving away from the morgue classification, but it's a new state-of-the-art building. It's adjacent to the PP&L lot on Large Street, which is a commercial type development. Those people in that neighborhood will never even know what we're doing in that building. Not that we're doing anything that they shouldn't know about, but we will blend in there. Everything's enclosed, nothing is outside visible. I think they'll see as we occupy that building in January and move forward that it will be unnoticeable in our operation there.
Okay. The last two questions that I have for you are primarily governmental structure questions. The first one is, do you believe that this position as coroner should be an elected position, or would the citizens of the county either be better served or served in the same way by changing this to a position appointed by the county commissioners through a process of open competition? And why do you feel that way?
Well, I mean, certainly in other parts of the country, they use a medical examination system where they have a doctor that either supervises a governmental locality or regions within the state. I would support that. Is certainly the best way to investigate that. But the elected system is what the state has, and I see going forward little chance in that changing. I think in Lackawanna County we have a great system because we actually have a forensic medical examiner or a medical pathologist that works for us, and we're able to use him. So we kind of have the best of both worlds. But I would support any, whether it's during my term or the next person's term or whatever, anything that would certainly improve the way we do that. I would absolutely support that.
Okay. And the last question, excuse me, that I have for you. Luzerne County recently changed its home rule charter, eliminating 8 elected officials, including commissioners, recorder of deeds, the clerk of courts, the coroner, the sheriff. Lackawanna County's home rule charter was passed in 1976. Is it time for a review of Lackawanna County's home rule charter? And would you recommend consideration, at least, of similar changes in our county government? Why or why not?
I think any time. I know earlier, actually at the end of last year, they had talked about consolidating row offices in the county, and I certainly voiced at that time my support of doing that in situations where that can be done. I don't know with the coroner's office whether, with the specifics of our type of operation, whether we could actually merge that with somebody else. It's kind of a standalone type section of government that we're doing. But certainly, I mean, government as we go forward, in the next 10, 20, 30 years, we're going to have to figure ways out to economize and save some costs by operating together. So I would support any type of at least certainly investigating what might be out there that might be better. I would support that.
Okay. That concludes the questions that we have for Tim Rowland today. But Tim, you still have 2 minutes for a closing statement.
Well, Andrew, I'd just simply like to close by saying that, I've, my entire life I've been devoted to first in the medical side, in actually saving people or trying to save people, and I think through the course of all those years, we certainly did save people. As far as the coroner operation goes, I mean, I've lived this for 8 years. I know exactly what it takes to do the job, and I know that I am certainly the most capable here of doing that with my forensic training, my experience, my medical background, and I look forward to serving the citizens of the county for the next 4 years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes our interviews with the candidates for Lackawanna County Coroner. Tim Rowland is the Democratic candidate and Frank Adamo is the Republican candidate. Thank you, Tim, for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me.